Right, so Hotel Transylvania 2. Um, I really like this movie, and I did like the original movie. I think it was better on the second viewing because sometimes films get better, you know. It's still a decent, film, and it's got lots of fun stuff in it. But I just really like this one. I think this one is better than the first one. I think there's a better hit ratio of laughs, and you get to see some new things, and the whole thing of referencing lots of things like social media and just lots of references to stuff like that, like Bluetooth and Yelp and stuff like that. I think that was funny, and I think this is more of the thing that Adam Sandler should do opposed to his stupid shtick comedies. I mean, he hasn't really made any good films with his own company in a long time. And the thing is that these family films that he does the voice acting in are so much better. I mean, the reason is because they're not from his production company, and that's why they don't suck. And it's the thing that, for me, that you look at a film like Pixels, which just looks horrendous and it's not really very funny at all. And that's supposed to be at a family sort of audience that young or old can enjoy it. And this film is like in that bracket too, but this one's a lot better. And I don't really want to bother with Pixels, to be honest, because it's already obvious that it's going to be so bad, and people have just trashed it and trashed it, and it makes sense why, because the formula is just too repetitive. And with this film you get a bunch of new jokes. Okay, you get some recycled jokes, like the woman singer goes, I didn't do that, which I think actually there's a joke about that about 3 times. But apart from that, I don't think the jokes are recycled. I think a lot of it seems new, like they're obviously making jokes about GPS, like vampire GPS and stuff like that, Halloween stuff. And there's a thing which is more explained at the end, but I sort of just went with it. The whole thing that vampires and monsters are more accepted in the whole human community, and it's more of a thing, because in the first film there was a whole thing about that they're not accepted, and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it has lots of stuff there, and I mean, it's really hard to believe this film is only 80 minutes or so long. I mean, it packs so much humor into it, and I just think it's really funny. I mean, I think it's more my sense of humor than his stuff that hasn't been funny for a long time. I mean, the last good Adam Sandler film was about 7 years ago, and that was Funny People. And even my dad liked that movie, and he's all very picky about certain things he likes, but he liked that movie, and that was that's good to know. I mean, I liked it too, but I think the problem is that he's more about, oh, I can do something really stupid and make it funny, and the whole point he's missed is that in the past, yeah, it was stupid and funny, like Billy Madison or Mr. Deeds and stuff like that, but it's become too repetitive, And this film is a nice, fun family film that appeals to so many people, and it's not going to shut anybody out, which I think is better. Because if you look at something like his past works, like Blended, where making fun of African Americans and Africans and stuff like that, it's just a bit degrading. But what I also like is the fact that they build on characters from the first film. So you have like Johnny, and you have Selena Gomez's character Mavis, and you have obviously Adam Sandler's character, and obviously they do obviously repeat some jokes, like he goes blah 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 blah, but that was funny. And then obviously the whole thing about his first word is blah 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 blah. He's like, where'd you get that from? It's like, oh, it was you, and stuff like that. And it's funny how something like this transcends, compared to something like obviously what Pixels are like, looks horrendous and Blended and That's My Boy. I mean, That's My Boy was sort of like the real like capital offense of just like, oh, God, this is so terrible. And I really think this is his niche now, that he should be doing this, like I say, because it's funny, and it's done with care, and the animation's fantastic. I mean, it looks so good, and the way that you do stuff with the iPhone and the app thing. There's a thing about they show a thing of Facebook, like get one free brain burger. You buy two and stuff like that. And I think there's so much stuff in here to like, which I can't say about his past films because they've just become a bit of a joke. Because I mean, if it was like, okay, pretend he didn't make Jack and Jill and all those other films that were terrible, and then some of those ones I've skipped because I don't want to bother, then perhaps it wouldn't be so deafening. But when you come across a sequel like this, you know it's going to be fun because the first one was fun, so they're obviously going to continue it with the second one. But I don't think they're probably going to make a third one now, but they should obviously make something like this, which is more family friendly, to put into his audience that people will take him back again. Because the whole thing with Eddie Murphy for a long time was that people felt like he just started doing some stupid comedies like Norbit and stuff like that, and then people sort of turned against him for a while. And then he obviously was in other films later on, and then people thought he wasn't so bad. But then I can't really think of particularly anything that much. I mean, it was in Tallahassee wasn't that bad, and it Thousand Words was just awful. But my point is that someone like Eddie Murphy and Adam Sandler do have things in common. I think Eddie Murphy's probably in more better films than Adam Sandler has, but if you judge it against that, they both obviously had something. But I think Adam Sandler hasn't really done a lot of serious films, which is another thing. But I guess that's for a different review. But here's the thing: if it's going to take anything more than this to get a good film out of him, then you kind of know that he's just here to do this movie and then do his stupid things, and that kind of disappointing. But on the note of this movie, I really like this film. I think it's fun. I think the references are just off the wall and brilliant. It's it's got a really really good hit ratio of laughs. I mean, sometimes you have to sort of think back of what they just said because you're laughing so much. There's so many different jokes, but you go back and then you realize, oh yeah, that thing. Because there's a bit at the end where Johnny makes a joke which reveals that he's human. He's trying to obviously pretend he's a vampire because he wants to impress Adam Sandler's dad. He's like, you don't want to mess with me. I'm a kid who was born in the year 1977. He's like, so you're a vampire? I mean, you're obviously not a vampire. I mean, then he's like, no, stuff like that. And that's what I like. I like something that a lot of people have worked on to make so good and great. And I think that's really the problem with Adam Sandler's films at the moment. That someone just sort of goes, all right, yeah, go on, do that. And then the film's terrible. And then you just sort of sit there and think, ugh. And I mean, I miss that Adam Sandler that had those films that was consistent, that he had films that were enjoyable and stuff. But you look at this and you're reminded of what his films used to be. I know it's a different kind of market, that it's for a family audience and it's for kids also and older people, but it shows that with the right material, he can be funny. I mean, obviously, there's a bit where he's annoyed at the campfire thing. They're singing all these lame songs, which is funny. And then, he starts making references to old songs that he used to know and stuff like that. Like, whatever happened to so and so, got hit with the axe and stuff like that. And so, to conclude, I think this film is superior to the first film. I think the first film was fun, but I think this is a lot better. I think it's got a very good hit ratio of laughs. The animation is brilliant, and I think this is definitely the way Adam Sandler should be going. And he shouldn't be doing any more stupid films because that's just dead now.